Hello, McVick. I hope you're doing well. Today I'm posting the last scheduled staff reflection on anti-racism, but we anticipate the conversations, challenges, and growth to be ongoing. I've thoroughly enjoyed the hearty and challenging discussions and conversations we have had as a staff. I don't consider myself to be qualified to speak on anti-racism, and you would not find me on a panel discussion as a guest contributor. But I'm happy to share my personal journey with you. After seeing the video footage of the killing of George Floyd a month ago, I decided to begin a journey of what some would call a deep dive into understanding racial injustice and inequality. My journey actually started well before the most recent deaths covered by the national news, and so my journey wasn't necessarily a response to protests, rioters, and violence. I was already on a journey. But this horrific situation accelerated my process. It was extremely hard to watch. Prior to this deep dive, and like many of you, I had a basic knowledge and understanding of American history, Black history, the deep pain of slavery, and the painful journey of walking out of slavery, and even at some levels the issues of our current day. But this time would be different. I just needed to re-educate myself on facts, timelines, constitutional amendments, civil rights acts, Supreme Court decisions, presidents, and other leaders that helped and hurt the cause, and ultimately to care at a much deeper level. I know that sounds intense, but that's where I was and am. I've described it as putting my mouth on a fire hose. It was and is at times overwhelming, but necessary. You see, I would much rather drink from a garden hose at a pace that I can regulate. Since then, I do both the fire hose and the garden hose, and both are actually needed. One day, after seeing a stack of papers on my desk from the research I was documenting, I had a moment of uncomfortable truth. After all these years of amendments, acts, laws, we still have a serious problem. And then the phrase came to me, you can't legislate love. Legislation can help the immediate and should be implemented, but true change comes from the heart, and only the Holy Spirit can do that work. Doing this exercise brought on sadness and conviction, and yet now, through those words, purpose and hope. So I'm kind of all over the place in that regard. In the past seasons of my life, in particular my years at Messiah College as a student and as a resident director, I've had great Black African American friends and friendships with people of color. I attended racial reconciliation events, specifically Promise Keepers, the Harrisburg revival services, where I was clearly in the minority, and prayer circles and movements that were meaningful and healing. But now in retrospect, I know I only had a small understanding of the real issues, concerns, and direct impact of systemic racism. I still only have a small understanding, but I'm way more tapped in than I was even 6 months ago. I'm committed to learning more, and in a way that's respectful of people with different viewpoints, beliefs, and experiences. I'm convinced that we can do this in a way that's purposeful, intentional, and practical. I'm also very convinced that we can do this in a way that is not political, not judgmental, or divisive. It is said that a pathway to lasting change is through understanding. For example, missionaries give up their way of living to learn a new culture. Another one, if you want to learn more about the life of a prisoner, you can read about it, or you can engage with them directly. If you want to make a difference in any given area, you must be willing to engage in the experience, the blessings and the pain of the specific area you hope to change. We see this through the example of Jesus. He gave up his rights to be equal with God and chose to be equal with us. To me, this says he became like us, to be with us, to live with us, to serve us, and even to die for us. That is true love, and that really makes a difference. And we are all saved by that love. Because of his love, we ought to love one another and consider others as more important than ourselves. I know it can be complicated in these crazy times, but yet this is our foundation as believers. If you're committed to pressing into this great injustice, go deeper in your faith and go for the long haul through these 3 ways. 1, review history and embrace current events. 2, learn from resources from those who are impacted the most. And 3, ask God how you can respond. Become a learner, go deeper in your faith, and pray about what's next. I've found the best and most helpful resources to understand the real pain of racial injustice comes from the Equal Justice Initiative by Brian Stevenson. Brian is the founder of EJI in Montgomery, Alabama, and he's the author of the book Just Mercy. It's also a must-see movie. He's a man of faith and has already been a long-termer for over 30 years as a lawyer representing those who are illegally convicted or unfairly sentenced and caught in an abusive criminal justice system. Learning more about his ministry will provide amazing insight into the more systemic concerns. I've listed the website and a few resources for your consideration. I've found them to be very helpful. I hope you have a great day. We as a staff are so grateful for you. Blessings and peace to you today.